Okay, no, let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to call this meeting of the Town Council for October 14th to order. If you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I want to point out that Finley Rothaus is excused this evening. He's had a family emergency and will be unable to attend. Otherwise, it looks like we're all here. By way of announcements, the upcoming Town Council meetings, Thursday, October 28th is our next regular meeting here in this room. And then in November and December, we meet on the first and third Thursdays of the month, rather than the second and fourth. So we'll be meeting on November 4th and November 18th at 7 o'clock here in this room. Paul, did you have any other announcements?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. Two tonight. The last hazardous waste collection day of the year is Saturday, November 6th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Nashua at 25 Crown Street, the old Park and Ride. They will resume again April of 2022. Woodbury Street Sidewalk Project is beginning today, October 14th. Woodbury Street will be closed from Daniel Webster Highway to McGowan Street from 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. daily. One-way traffic from DW to McGowan from 7 a.m. to 8:30. One-way traffic from McGowan to DW after 2 p.m. If possible, please seek alternate routes. Thank you.
Been a long time coming, waiting for that project to get started.
Yes, it has.
So a little bit of interruption, but shouldn't be too terrible. At this point, comments from the press and public on agenda items. Anybody wants to address the council on agenda items, please come up to either the mic over here on the side or to the table. Announce yourself and your address, and seeing nobody rushing to the mic, we'll move on. Under recognition, resignation, and retirements, first we have a recognition of full-time years of service of town employees. There are quite a number that we wanted to recognize today. From the Fire Department, Fire and Rescue Department, Assistant Chief Sean Bechtel with a 20-year plaque, Fire Lieutenant Scott Bannister with a 20-year plaque, Master Firefighter Sean Kimball, a 20-year plaque, and Fire Captain Jason Marcella with a 20-year plaque. Is Sean Bechtel here, or is anybody from the Fire Department here? Okay. All right, so we'll get those to them. Again, these are recognitions for 20 years, except for Captain Marcella for 25 years. And he'll receive a smartwatch. From Public Works Department, we're recognizing Dean Stearns, an Equipment Operator 1 for 20 years with a plaque. Robert Burley, Equipment Operator 1 for 35 years with a lamp. Jeffrey Strong, Construction and Highway Foreman for 35 years with a lamp. Is
Dean Stern is here, sir.
Dean Stearns here?
Yep. And Lori is here to speak on his behalf.
Okay. Lori, Dean?
I've had the pleasure of working with Dean for the past 6 years at the Highway Division of Public Works. Dean was hired as a maintainer on April 30th, 2001, and was quickly promoted to equipment operator within 7 months. In this position, Dean has operated a variety of equipment. He tackles assignments head-on and has been our go-to guy for chainsaw, bucket truck, and sign maintenance. Because Dean is so reliable, helpful, and knowledgeable about all our operations, we look to him to mentor our newer employees. We appreciate that he's willing to share his experience and skill with others. Dean is a solid, capable employee when it comes to snow plowing. He's one of our first in for every snowstorm and one of the last to leave, many times over 24 hours. He has a good understanding of what is expected of him. He takes pride in his work, and he communicates well with his zone mates, ensuring that a quality job is done. Dean has also competed in many state and New England regional snowplow rallies, often placing first or second among heavy competition. Dean is proud of his family. He's been married to his wife, Karen, for 45 years. He has a son, daughter, son-in-law, and 2 beautiful granddaughters. And while I've got Karen, thank you for the thoughtful, delicious treats that you send over to the highway garage often. Dean enjoys many hobbies. One is tapping his maple trees and making his own maple syrup. He enjoys gardening and harvesting his crops, which he cans and pickles with his wife. His rhubarb makes an amazing strawberry rhubarb crumble. His knowledge about gardening is abundant, and he's taught me to throw in some Epsom salt when you plant your tomato plants. And speaking of salt, it's true, everybody needs a little bit of sodium to function properly, but Dean needs more than your average Joe, and he throws it on everything. He probably has some on him right now. But seriously, Dean, it's been a pleasure working with you. His cheerful and accommodating personality has made it a pleasant work environment, and I want to thank you for your 20 years of hard work.
Thank you. I've enjoyed working.
So we have a 20-year service award for you, Dean, in recognition of 20 years of service as a full-time employee of the Town of Merrimack Public Works Department. It's a pleasure to present you with this plaque. We wish to extend our sincere appreciation for your outstanding performance and dedication to duty from April 30 of 2001 to April 30 of 2021, presented on behalf of the Merrimack Town Council and the Town Manager.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You want to say anything?
Just that I've enjoyed working for the town for the past 20 years.
Awesome. And this isn't a retirement, right? This is just
Not
a
yet.
service award. We're going to keep you around, let you spread some more salt.
Maybe
do what's
another
necessary.
8 months.
8 months.
Ouch.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And from the police department, we'd like to recognize Sergeant Dennis Foley with the 35-year recognition.
So Sergeant Foley and his lovely wife Dee as accompany him. So Dennis first started with us in July 1986, and before that he did 2 years as part-time reserve officer in Hampton. So he came with a little experience. I can tell you that when I first got hired on, I was lucky enough to be with a squad with a bunch of guys that are here, actually Paul Trepney and Dean Kelly, and we had some good times, a lot of fun back then. Dennis did a lot of things for the police department. He was field training officer, bike officer. He served for a year on the AG Drug Task Force, which was a special role that only elite get appointed to, and was a member of the union board for numerous years. We worked together on the union board quite a bit. He was transferred to detectives in 2007, became sergeant in 2009. In 2006, he received the VFW Police Officer of the Year. You know, going through Dennis's file, I knew how many accolades he received, but to see them all in write and all in print, copied in there, simple thank you cards. Dennis is loved by the community. He truly is. Every contact he has with the public is sincere. He's a very caring person. He's admired at the police department. But like I said, one of the biggest attributes Dennis has is his caring heart. You know, I'll give you 2 instances where just went above and beyond. And it wasn't too long ago, actually. He ran into an elderly woman down at the public library here with 3 suitcases, clearly disoriented, didn't really know where she had to go, couldn't figure out where she was staying for the night. And Dennis took it upon himself to bring her down to a local hotel and pay for a hotel room for her. You know, that's the type of person Dennis is. Another case is they went to a domestic call at London Court, and they came into a household where clearly they didn't have much. And turns out they were fighting about Christmas presents, not being able to provide for the kids at Christmas time. And Dennis spearheaded a campaign, took it upon himself to gather gifts for those kids so they could have an enjoyable Christmas. These are only 2 examples. Like I said, Dennis has done a lot in the police work, but I think those 2 examples and how he is as a person, how he's admired by the patrol division, really speaks to the type of person that Dennis is. And I'm proud to have you with us, Dennis. I'm proud to work alongside with you. And keep on going, and you're doing a great job. He still comes passionate to work. He loves police work. He's very dedicated. And like I said, we all enjoy work with him, and keep it up.
Dennis, on behalf of the the town, I want to congratulate you on 35 years. Thank you very much for that effort. We're looking forward to another 35. Whatever's appropriate, but we certainly appreciate all the work that you do for the town. And as the chief said, you're well appreciated and enjoyed by a lot of members of the town, and we thank you very much for that. We do have a lamp for you. I know every 5 years from 25 up, you get something from the town, and now you've graduated to a lamp. I think the next thing is a rocking chair that, but we'd love to see you get that as well. So we'd be happy to get that. I was going to get out of the box, but it's very well packed right now, and it was going to probably destroy it if I did. But anyway, so thank you very much. I appreciate your effort. Thank you.
So I have this lovely bride of mine that's been my rock for many reasons, including the job. I don't think anybody knows what this job entails, personally, professionally. And if you look at the back wall, I have friends that were retired, my buddy Mike, Dean, Paul, even Ryan Milligan kind of joked with me earlier about, I think you were born, I think I was born like 2 days after you were hired here, Dennis. And if anybody knows Ryan, his dad was the former chief here. Then I look at Billy Vanderside, Haley Ash, Pat Donahue, newly hired guy here. Of course, Rick McKenzie. Love these guys and ladies. It's a great community. I'm proud to serve it, and thanks, everybody.
I forgot one thing. While going through Dennis's file, I found his photo when he first got hired. A young Dennis Foley. So I'm going to give that to Dennis for his photocopy. And
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
We certainly appreciate the employees of our town and appreciate all the time that they put into working to keep us safe and secure and running properly. So it's always fun to be able to recognize those long years of service. I mentioned earlier a 20-year plaque for the next item, but Sean Kimball retired from the town of Merrimack after 20 years. And we'll be sending him a plaque as well and a reward for that. He's moved on, I believe, to Colorado or something, and we wish him the best there. Thank him for his service of 20 years here, and wish him well out west.
And that was Scott Bannister who retired from the
That
fire
was what?
department. Scott Bannister
Scott
retired
Bannister. Why
from
do
the
I
fire
have
department.
Sean Kimball? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm reading the wrong. Oh, I didn't get all the way to the right page. I'm sorry. Lieutenant Scott Bannister, who retired from March 19th, 2001 through March 19th of 2021. Okay? Any other comments or questions? That'll bring us to our next item on the agenda. It was an annual review with the Conservation Commission.
You should probably escape now. You may escape.
Thank all of you folks for showing up.
Go have a party.
Bye, guys.
What happened to Kyle?
Do what?
Kyle is on crutches.
Don't know. Hey, and welcome, Steve Perkins. And
Good evening. I'd like to thank the town council for having us, giving us this time to do this with you again this year. The agenda's pretty simple. I kept it almost identical to last year. It's quick, but hopefully I'll cover all the highlights. Commission members, there's some changes here. We lost some very tenured, some very experienced commissioners in the last year. Tim Tenhave stepped away. Matt Karen also stepped away. Of course, Pete Albert, who was very, did a lot with us, really supportive of everything we did, also stepped away. But the good news is we have new members. Andy has joined us, and Mike Druin, who's also joined us. He served on the Hudson Conservation Commission. A lot of you know Ellen in the back row. So our recruiting efforts have yielded some success. Great members, passionate about what we do, and we're thankful to have them. Mission of the commission, again, I put this up there. It hasn't changed at all from last year. This is directly from the town charter. Some of our accomplishments, you know, it was a challenging year for everybody in whatever function, but we persevered. We got some things accomplished. I'll just highlight a couple of these. I won't read them all, but you know, so much of what we do, our volunteer time and everything, is dedicated to trail maintenance. We have some wonderful parcels in town, but it takes a lot of hands to keep them maintained, to keep the fallen trees off them, to put up the signs when they fall down, and so forth. So you can see, you know, and we've had some support in this. I kind of call it out here, but the volunteer support we get in Merrimack is phenomenal. You know, and you see it out there. You'll see, you met Sarah Hardy when she came before you. She put up those selfie stands. We've had great feedback about that. Angie Merrill, the free library at Horse Hill Nature Preserve, and there's a gentleman in town, Frank Logano, who continues to be extremely generous in his support. All these trail maps that you see, the paper maps at all of our parcels, he donates those, as well as the big marquee signs in the stands. Just a few others to call out. We formed a seven-member Sklar waterfront subcommittee. Those are, again, the subcommittees are just vital. You know, there's a limit. You saw how many of us are on the commission, but these subcommittees, they roll up their sleeves, they get it done. And they were challenged this past year because they couldn't meet, which made it difficult to just keep everyone engaged. The 21st annual Seedling giveaway, we did that. Again, Courier Orchard lets us use that space there. We were able to do that safely. And that's probably the most, we draw a pretty big crowd every year, even despite the pandemic, that turn out. And they do their research. They show up. They know which seedlings. If someone wants a particular seedling, you're not going to talk them into something else. So we continue to put some effort into tweaking this assortment every year and trying to keep it relevant. Again, like I said, trail building. You can see on the left, this was from Greater Woods. That's the old stick bridge. Arguably, there was some distress there, but
just a little bit, huh?
But you can see a team of volunteers. Mike and his wife Tina were out there. You probably recognize Matt Caron's face there. Him and some other members of the New England Mountain Bike Association came out there, and many hands didn't necessarily make it light, but they certainly allow us to get things done like this. And it is an effort, carrying all that lumber into the woods, making the bridge. Wonderful work there. Just a few more accomplishments, and I won't talk about all of them, just call out a few. The Merrimack Hike Club, that's been very popular. A lot of people really enjoyed those outings. And we got the next one scheduled for October 24th at Scholar, if anyone wants to join. We continue to maintain the website. Kyle's been very supportive in our efforts. It's not easy, and we'll get there eventually, but just improving the entrance to Scholar Waterfront Park. And those wood duck boxes, those ones you see up. We had some decent weather. It got cold enough last January that we were able to get out on the ice out at Horse Hill and some of the other ponds. The wood ducks don't like those boxes if we don't clean them out every year, so they'll be happy when they moved into them last spring. Again, here's the hike club. It's well attended. The finances, we didn't spend a lot of money in the last year, so these slides really didn't change much when I updated them from last year. The different funds. Again, our budget, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Those are the different budgeted items we have. Finally, some goals and activities. And this could easily have been 4 or 5 pages. There's a lot on our list. We really tried to prioritize it and just show you what we thought was most important to us for the coming year. Obviously, we'll come before you again. We're here in June talking about Chapter 111, our proposals. They were well received. We appreciate your feedback. So we're drafting the legal language for that now. Fields Farm, once that comes to fruition, we'll hope to stand up a subcommittee for that to help us with the maintenance there. And the Sklar Waterfront Park, It's a beautiful parcel, but it's a bit of a fixer-upper. It's our newest parcel, so there's work to be done there still. And now that we have this subcommittee committed to doing those types of improvements, we hope to make significant progress this year. Educational opportunities, it was great. We had the garden club from Merrimack High School come out, not far from here, actually, under the power lines at Wildcat Falls. They did some planting, seedlings, lilacs, those sorts of things. So there is some involvement. We also have a student from UNH, a graduate student, doing a study on fur bearers on the Merrimack Town parcels right now. He's doing that pretty much all fall. Yes?
I'm going to ask you to back up a little bit and
Yep.
think, and realize that we have people on TV that are watching that may not be totally familiar with the Conservation Commission and all these properties, especially ones like Sklar property, which is fairly new. So as you come to these, could you just point out where they are in town?
Yeah, I definitely will. Sklar is down, it's near the old Thornton Ferry crossing, down near
It's off of Griffin Street.
Griffin Street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go under the underpass, under the railroad tracks, rough access, which is why we'd like to improve that access into there.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that waterfront park is on the river.
It is on the river, on the
It
Merrimack
definitely
River.
is. And
And,
Fields Farm?
Fields Farm?
What are you talking about when you're talking about Fields Farm?
That's across, it's in the Horse Hill area.
Yeah.
So just west of Horse Hill, just northwest of Horse
On
Hill.
the other side of Amherst Street or
Yeah, Amos Road, yep.
Amherst Road, yeah.
Yeah, and part of it borders the Sahegan River.
Oh, okay. Down by Amherst, town of Amherst, by the border?
Yeah,
or
getting
close to
closer,
it?
but yeah, still, I mean, not that close, but,
Okay.
yeah, I know, you know where Tim Tenhaven moved?
I do, but this is for the sake of people that are watching.
I don't know what street.
I know
that
where it is,
Yeah.
now that you've mentioned that, but
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
off Amherst Road, if you're heading out towards
Yeah, off
Amherst,
Amherst Road,
it would be on the
northwest.
right instead of on the left.
On the
which
right,
is-
correct.
Okay,
And I mentioned the last one was Wildcat Falls, and obviously that's from down here behind the high school up to the Courier Road area.
uh-huh. Thank you.
Finally, a few goals continued here, and again, I won't talk about all of them. I did mention reinvigorating the subcommittees. It was tough for them, and they couldn't meet. You know, the Conservation Commission, we could continue to meet remotely and so forth, but they were not meeting, and that was tough on them just to stay engaged. So there's a little bit of inertia to overcome there. Certainly the passion and enthusiasm isn't lost, but it's been fantastic now that they've been getting together, doing their regular meetings, usually quarterly, and just talking about ways to improve the parcels. Improve signing on a number of our parcels. This is something we've looked at a lot of alternatives. We want to do it. That's a piece of feedback we get a lot when we're out on these parcels is, you know, it's a difficult balance. You don't want people to feel like they're going to get lost when they go for a walk. But then again, we don't want to turn it into the Vegas Strip either. It's got to be tasteful, well placed. Do it without overdoing it. So we've got a couple volunteers that are going to show us a couple options. Probably something that looks similar to what the National Park Services uses, wood plaques and so forth.
We have someone who's volunteered, he has a workshop, and he has a programmable router.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's gonna make us some signs.
Good.
And again, Gina really has carried the torch on number 16 there, just documenting our processes and our procedures. And that's really important because as new members come, you know, and as we hear, you know, deal with statutory advisory business, it's difficult if you're not an engineer or an architect to know those questions to ask. And really, there's a lot of institutional knowledge. So she's done a fantastic job trying to piece those things together. And, you know, how many times a year, what time of year do we have to do the LSIP walk or these other, you know, other functions that the commission manages and handles. Again, and there's a picture from Sklar Waterfront Park, the Swan. Again, another, I think the one on the right was, did you take that, Mike? I forget where it came from.
No, I know Mike Drewen took that Swan, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was just like a week or two ago. Yeah.
I won't spoil it. I won't spoil the surprise. And challenge yourself. Go out and find that. Wherever it was, it was beautiful, right? I don't have any, we don't have any big asks here. The town does so much for us. I'd be remiss not to mention the way community development supports us, in the media department, these Zoom meetings, holding a Zoom meeting with us was a real circus until we figured that out. So we really are appreciative of how supportive they were. We continue to work with Kyle. I mentioned the entrance there. We'll hopefully get on your agenda in the coming months and represent Chapter 111 and where we're at with that. That comment about the MCC funds, and I can work with, we'll work with Tim Thompson too. It's just, that's one area we struggle sometimes. Usually if we want to rebuild, like rebuilding that bridge, Mike usually goes down, puts it on his credit card, and we do a check. I don't know if there's a town credit card or something, a way we could make those transactions simpler. But
That's
yeah.
news to me.
Well,
That's news to me because we always you guys used to go down to Home Depot or wherever you're going, put in the order. Purchasing would call with her credit card.
Oh,
and
she
then,
would?
Yeah, it would be put on the town card. So Mike, I'm sorry that you have to go for reimbursement, but
Well,
that's how finance
so
used to work with
I'm
it.
going to Home Depot tomorrow.
Just to tell them that you're with the town of Merrimack and that get your order number, bring it over to finance. Xenia will call with the order number and put it on her credit card, town credit card. We do
Oh.
have a town credit card.
So that you don't have to wait for a check to be cleared
Nope.
and written?
Nope.
Wow.
it's fantastic.
I just don't, it's not, might not, we gotta, they gotta run our credit card and stuff, but we do have credit cards and things, and we have done that in the past.
And that goes against Fund 53?
Yes, it does.
Oh, awesome.
Used to.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Again, the only other one I put, probably would talk about that's on here, the conservation officer, that's something we spent a lot of time talking about. And I think, the feedback we've gotten from Peter was, that was something you all were interested in. If you want us to re-engage in that debate, I know we've spoken to the Londonderry Conservation Commission, because they're the only commission I know of that's actually done this. So we have collected some feedback. So again, if you want us to delve into that again, just say so, and we gladly will.
Okay, good.
And really, that's all I had, barring any questions.
Nancy?
I actually don't have a question. Ooh, that's loud. I actually don't have a question, just a comment. Mike has done a really good job of putting photographs and directions to the parks, and I myself, actually, I went with Representative Rosemarie Rung last week to check out Sklar Park based on the photos that were posted, and I think I've seen a lot of people interested in questioning, where is this? So, thank you guys for what you're doing, and it's a gem, a hidden gem, so I agree, I did have a little bit of a trouble finding it, so, so having a little bit more obvious of an entrance, so that, not too obvious, because we don't want it to be, we gotta protect that gem, but,
make it
And you're
Disneyland.
speaking of Mike Druin.
yes, yeah. Yeah, so thank
Yeah,
you.
it's been great.
Cool. Paul?
Just a couple questions, Mr. Chair. The beavers, how have they been? Because I know about 4 years ago, we did a big beaver deceivers and things of that sort, and I know there was a beaver management plan, so I'm just wondering how we are doing since budget season's coming up, and I know that there are some talks with a private landowner about removal of a beaver dam, because it's causing potential water issues on 101A.
Oh, really? I know Gage would know more
Okay.
about that. I'm not familiar with that myself.
No,
But, as far as I know we renewed a contract for the
for the maintenance.
of the beaver deceivers, but I'm not aware of that.
Okay. And then the
Gage would.
next question I have for you is that I drove my truck down to Sklar, and it was fun. It was a fun ride, to say the least. Definitely a very bumpy road, but there were a lot of orange landscaping flags that were out and about along the roadway, from where the bridge was, the trestle, all the way to the water. Did conservation put those out? You put them out? Okay. And I got a lot of questions of what's going on with those and why are they out?
Yeah, Mike, you want to speak to those?
Just, you have to come to a mic to,
Into the mic, Mike.
thanks, Mike.
All right, so the subcommittee is working on the fall plan, when the leaves are off, all the brush, and we can walk over to different things. So those flags mark dead and dangerous trees that we're kind of looking at getting removed. Because when it gets windy in there, it's really scary, because
Okay.
things come down left and right.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. Any other questions for the Conservation Commission? Nancy, go ahead.
Sorry, it's not, again, I forgot to, one thing. I know, I'm really grateful to the Conservation Committee, but all the volunteers too. The day that I went down there, trying to find my way, and I didn't know which direction to go to, Dave Trippett was there, and clearing trees and brush, and he, you know, he explained how much time he spends down there, and I know he's not alone. So just wanted to say thank you too to all the volunteers who nobody knows are actually down there all the time, in a place nobody can see, doing something great for the town. So thank you.
Thank you.
That is awesome, and I know that you guys do a great job out in a lot of those different places, and it has been a big challenge this past couple of years with COVID and everything else, and a lot of folks wanted to get out back last year and created some hassles and troubles of their own, but hopefully things will settle down and we can get back out and enjoy the nature and stuff like that a little bit better.
Yeah, and
Nancy, did you have something?
Just had a question about Sklar. How's the issue with the ATVs down there?
It's getting much better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that they've moved big boulders out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, they're still down there, but much quieter than it used to be. It's really coming along. You know, it's a diamond in the rough, as
Oh,
Steve
absolutely.
said. But it's getting better, and with the subcommittee and Mike being down there a lot, and
I was going to say, just visibility, someone
yeah.
being there, I'm
And,
sure is
yeah,
a lot.
And I think the subcommittee, I think we just started in May. And so it's gonna take some time there.
Oh, yeah.
And if you imagine, like, just a few years ago, we took out hundreds of tires out of there. I don't know if you remember Anheuser-Busch helping us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the town coming down with trucks, and
Yeah.
so it's starting to come along. There's a couple of trails laid out there now.
Good, and I do know about your issue
Yeah.
with the trees. I mean, there's some gorgeous trees down there, but some of the ruts go down to the roots, so there has to be some selection, but at the same time, you want to be able to save as much as you can. And I'm sure there's criteria with the water, the state, so. Right, yeah, the circumference of the trees and how close it is to the water line. So those are the things we have to deal with, but it's nice to have to deal with them,
Yeah.
to
And,
be able to have
to be able to
that
do it.
progress,
Mike,
that's right.
Mike Jewin had a county forester come
Oh,
a week or
good.
two ago, and he talked to us about those trees down in the shoreline, how, especially the ones that, you know, reach over and
That's
that are
right.
kind of falling down, just let them regenerate, you know, from their branches and stuff like that, because that helps that floodplain
Perfect.
stay intact. And,
And that's the
Yeah.
kind of guidance we need to get.
yes.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm glad to hear about it, because that was a concern. Been a beautiful place.
And,
I've been fishing there 20 years ago.
and
It's
some
like, don't tell
grasses.
anybody.
Some grasses are starting to grow
Good.
where vehicles were driving.
That's right,
So, you know, that's what happens when we can stop,
regenerate.
you know, some of the 4x4 and our ATV usage.
Very good, thank you. I was curious.
Great. Well, thanks. I think you guys are doing a great job. I encourage you to keep it up. You have funds to be able to do stuff to manage and maintain the land, and we're in a great position as far as that's concerned. And hopefully we can straighten out the interactions with finance and stuff to make your lives a little bit easier as far as being able to do some small day-to-day kind of things. But feel free to contact finance or the town manager to get that squared
So
away.
just call the town when I'm there, and there'll be a credit card that they can.
What you do is you get an order number from Home Depot,
Yeah.
tell them you here on the Merrimack Conservation, get an order number, and then go to finance with the order number, and they call up and get pricing. They approve the pricing and everything.
Can he pick up stuff the same day, or does he need to do an order in advance?
Usually what happens is that they do orders in advance, and they used to get the stuff delivered to a Trailhead. I don't know.
Right, like Reed's Ferry just did that for
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
But
right.
it took them several weeks. I mean, I think they're just getting paid this week.
Yeah,
Up
well,
to
but the
3.
same thing with Reed's Ferry.
Yeah.
Call the town. We have a contract with Reed's Ferry as well, and as long as we call them up and say, yep, release it underneath,
Yeah.
the town account, and then they bill us and we pay them.
You're right, but it took like 3 weeks for them to get, like, they delivered the stuff. And
Yeah, but usually what happens is they bill us monthly, and we
Oh.
pay.
All right.
So, yeah. So we do have accounts with Home Depot, all the lumber
Okay.
companies.
Home
and
Depot,
things like that.
Merrimack.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And,
And actually, we have one at Lowe's too, if you go down there.
Lowe's and Amherst?
Yes, yes.
Thank
That's
you.
one of those procedures you need to write down.
So, what I'm gonna tell you
This
is
is very
that.
Probably
timely.
knew this
Yes,
once.
Tom Bowen is the new finance director. He was the deputy. He understands the procedure. Senya Simpson, sorry, was the purchasing agent. She is now the new deputy finance director. We just hired a new purchasing agent that will be starting in the beginning of November. But if you go to finance and ask for Tom or Xenia, they know the procedure. They've been with me long enough that they know the procedures
All right, thank
to
you.
help you guys out, so you're not putting money out on your own credit cards. And we started this back, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years ago with Gage and Mike Karen.
Okay,
Well,
Great.
thank you for having us.
thanks, guys, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, it's got a remote now. That works in the back. Okay, so we have no public hearing scheduled for tonight. Legislative updates from state reps?
I didn't get anything.
I didn't get anything. My phone isn't even here. I think it's in my car. So hopefully nobody's trying to reach me. Nothing that you're aware of? Okay.
They're getting ready to start committee meetings.
To start, put your mic on, say what?
I believe they're getting ready to go back into committee meetings,
Oh, okay.
as well as, rev up as the LSRs become more formalized, so that's all I know.
All right, thank you. Okay, town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you've seen earlier tonight, our police chief and Sergeant Foley were sporting beards for a
I
good
noticed
cause.
that.
The Merrimack Police Department is supporting and participating in Beards for Bucks, which is a fundraiser during the month of October for the Child Advocacy Center, who assists child victims of physical and sexual abuse and their families. The town of Merrimack relies on their high-quality and specialized services for abused children. Please check out the police department's Facebook page if you'd like to learn more about this Beards for Bucks. Exciting news. We're in the final stages of the roundabout over by Turkey Hill Road.
Yeah,
Once
really.
again, everything seems to be happening today. Beginning today, there's a new traffic pattern.
Yeah, there sure is.
Yes, there is, and I'm sure some of you got caught in it. Driving the appropriate lanes through the roundabout, but not all the way around it. So if you're heading from Town Hall, going westerly on Babuza Lake Road, you will now be on the main road that goes around the roundabout. If you're coming easterly from the lake area down towards the center of town, there's gonna be a detour set up where you take a right on Joppa, then a left on Turkey Hill, and then you'll come up Turkey Hill, and then you'll finish that portion of the roundabout to take you back out onto Babuza Lake Road to take you to the center of town. Please use caution. Traffic patterns will be changing. Delays will be occurring. Road closures will be happening as we finalize with paving and granite curbing and things of that sort over the next week and a half. So please just bear with us a little bit longer, and by Halloween, hopefully, the roundabout will be open.
Projected?
Yes. The Public Works would like to thank the following groups for volunteering their time to adopt the road. And not only Public Works, but the town manager and the town of Merrimack would like to thank these people for participating in volunteering for Adopt the Road, and to help keep Merrimack clean. Recently, Merrimack Friends and Family picked up Lawrence Road Rotary Club of Merrimack picked up a stretch of Babuzik Lake Road. American Legion Auxiliary Unit picked up 98 Church Street, Hillside Terrace, and McGaw Bridge Road. And the Merrimack Lioness Club picked up a stretch on McQuestion Road. Together, these groups collected 37 bags worth of trash from Merrimack roadways. Want to once again thank them for their service in helping keep Merrimack clean. Finally, just want to inform the public that last week we had some excitement, or almost 2 weeks ago now, we had some excitement over at our wastewater treatment plant when a contractor's dump truck decided to take out 4 utility poles. We found out that our facility generators of 51 years are still work. The problem is that our transfer switch which wasn't 51 years old, failed. So Anheuser-Busch, and we called Anheuser-Busch right away, and they stopped their flows until we can get the transfer switch, say that 10 times fast, up and running. We actually had the fire department and Eversource walk down the contractor from Route 3 down to the wastewater treatment plant because of where the wires were located, so that he could work on getting the transfer switch up and running. Kudos to the staff. They worked very hard to keep the plant up and running. Once the power did come back on, we had no major issues, and the transfer switch did shut off. So, and of course, this had to happen one of those days where we had the monsoons. So they were out there working in the rain and the winds, and Eversource was there for roughly 14 hours. Consolidated was there until about 10:30 at night. So, you know, we had people stationed at the plant until everything came back up and running, and knock on wood, everything's been running since, so.
And Budweiser held off until we were done?
Budweiser was very, very,
We should thank them
very
for their
nice, and
cooperation.
I did thank not only Tom, but I thanked his staff as well, the plant general manager down there, as well as his staff for helping us out in this time of need. And they were happy to do it, and happy to be able to be a good partner when it came to something of that sort, so. But that was the excitement from 2 weeks ago, and
No more excitement.
hopefully no more excitement. I had enough excitement, so.
No.
But thank you, that's all I have.
Welcome to the job of town manager.
Yes.
Okay, any comments or questions for the town manager's report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Normally, we would just move it, but Chapter 193, update to welfare guidelines, final reading. We've gone through it multiple times. Somebody want to move the consent agenda? Moved by Lon
Second.
Woods, seconded by Nancy Harrington. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 6-0-0. I mentioned earlier Finley was not here. So we've talked about this at 2 different meetings now, and it's been available for people to review. It's mostly procedural updates for the most part. So we're good with that, I think. Bringing us to new business. We have no old business for tonight. Committee appointments. We had 2 people that Finley and I were able to interview along with the committee chair people and town committee representatives. John Frechette for Heritage Commission, full member, and Karen Contos for Town Center Committee as full members. And both of them really impressed us as people that were anxious to get involved more with the town, and sounded like they were ideal for the positions they were looking for, allowing them to understand and learn more about what's going on in town and help out and be supportive. So Finley and I are recommending their appointment as full members to these 2 committees. If anybody has any questions, we can talk about it, or we can
Trust you.
do a motion. Yeah?
We trust you and Finley.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Frechette as a full member of the Heritage Commission and Karen Contos as a full member of the Town Center Committee.
Second.
Motion by Nancy Harrington, seconded by Barbara? I heard you say it first, so Barbara Healy, to appoint John and Karen to the positions respectively. Is there any other comments or questions? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 6-0-0. John and Karen?
That is good, Ty.
Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. John, Karen? Have a copy, so you just have to read it yourself. So if you raise your right hand and read the section there with us, together. You can go ahead and just fill in the positions, your positions, but if you do both, we'll do it all at once. So
Okay.
you can start now.
I, John Frusciante, do solemnly swear and sincerely swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a full member of the Heritage Commission, according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
Congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Passed in flying colors.
You also need to sign that one? No. There's your copy of the ethics. You can sign yours. Congratulations, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy the committee.
Look forward to working.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Okay, I need to send these around.
We do know how to empty a room, don't we?
We're doing a good job, yeah. You want to sign those? Okay. Moving right along. We have an acceptance of a donation for the Merrimack Police Department submitted by Deputy Chief Mac Tarleton, whom I don't see here.
So I have Captain Marquis and Community Service Officer Bill Vanderside. Bill, are you going to be speaking? Community Service Officer Vanderside will be talking. I just want to thank Crime Line for their continued support of the police department. The golf tournament this year was a great success. It was a beautiful day. It's always a nice turnout and a nice event. They do put on a great show and a nice food spread for everybody, but it's definitely a lot of work for them, and we do want to appreciate, and we do appreciate all the hard work that they do and help support the Merrimack Police Department.
I'd like to take a minute and thank the town council. I'd like to take a minute and thank the town council and the town manager, Paul McCallie, to allow us to present this to you. We're looking to have the donation from Crime Line in purchasing a new drone for our PD. As you recall, probably back March of 2020, myself and Deputy Chief, who I have to apologize for, he's got a pressing issue to handle across the street, so he can't be here tonight. But we approached the council with our first drone that was donated by my neighbor, Dwayne LaFlotte, and his company donated that drone. It's been very helpful for us. We've used it several times. I think you folks were all given the log that we kept as we agreed to when we took the drone on. It's been really helpful. We've used it for a couple search and rescue missions, but unfortunately, because of the canopy in our woods here, our forests, that we couldn't actually, see what we were looking for. But it was still there to have, and it was a great resource to use. But it does have a couple of shortcomings that we've found over the last year, and one of it is collision avoidance, and that being that the automated systems, it has no automated system on it that would prevent it from running into a structure or a large tree or something like that. And there are plenty of drones out on the market that do offer that. So this drone isn't going to be retired. We're going to keep it on. It's a great secondary drone. If we have to do a big cursory search, we can have two going. And we can also use it for training. It's still fully capable of that. That was the biggest reason we were looking for a new one. The other reason was the new drone that's being donated by Crime Line is it has some night lighting available on it, which our present drone doesn't have. It's also required by the FAA. So that'll give us a little bit more guidance up there. We'll be able to see where it is. It's still going to be in line of sight, but it's a heck of a lot easier to see it when it has lighting at night or dusk. It's got a better camera to it. The thermal camera is better, and the HD camera that it has, the high definition camera that it comes with, is 3 or 4 times better than what the Parrot has right now. So, and the Parrot is our current drone. It's been a great tool. I'd like to say that the other departments within the town have reached out to us a few times, and you'll be able to see that in the log as well, that they required it for, or they requested it for aerial photography. We did it for the DPW. We used it for the DPW for the town hall building here when they remarked the pavement and the road markings throughout the parking lot. We used it for the rotary up the street here at the intersection of Turkey Hill and Babusick Lake Road. And Parks and Rec has reached out a few times to use it when they put together their new tennis courts and pickleball courts. So it's been a great tool to use for the other departments. I can't recall for sure if we were using it at the at the landfill or not, but I think we had used it there.
It is listed as.
Yeah, so we did use it there. And that was also for road markings when they
That's right.
formatted the lanes of travel. So it did work. It works perfect for that. So it really has some interdepartmentability to it, which is what we had hoped it would do for the other departments. So it's being used townwide. So we had a meeting with Crime Line about a month ago, maybe a little bit better, and I expressed the interest in the new drone, and they were nice enough to agree to fund it for us, and they saw the need. So that's what brings us here today.
Are there any questions from the council at this point? Paul?
Bill, who's going to be the second operator? Because I know you had to get licensed.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to be Aaron Petroselli.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're going to get a second officer license?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you have to
And
get
as
a
our
license?
program,
Wow.
as our program grows, we hope to get more people on board.
Could you explain the licensing portion of?
Sure.
So that,
with the FAA and the abundance of these drones now, seems like everybody has them, and they're really starting to interfere. They have near misses with aircraft, and it's been reported all across the country. So the FAA stepped in and mandated some training be required for these. A lot of the better quality drones actually have geofencing built into them, which will limit their ability to go outward from the operator or even height, elevation, altitude. It restricts that if it's too close to airports, which is great. You know, it's super. You can't go and unlock that geofence. So with licensing, it allows you to do a little bit more, but with our town here, most of our images are under 400 feet, and that's where the FAA really steps in. And because we are so close to the airport, anything over 400 feet, we'd have to get special approval for. But what we found in just a couple of months that we've had it, that we really very rarely have to go to 400 feet. So we're within the restrictions of the FAA at all times. It's so sensitive with geofencing that here at the PD, I couldn't go up above 400 feet if I wanted to, but down in another residence down off of the Lake Road on Jessica, I could go as high as I wanted. And it's just that much difference or distance between the airport and here versus the
Side of the
airport in
path.
Jessica.
Okay.
So it's very sensitive. They did a great job with it.
Interesting.
So I noticed in your list here, that a lot of the times that it was used, well over 50% of the time, it was used either for the town of Merrimack or for training. In fact, only twice did it look like it was being used for police work, for looking for hikers or attempting to locate a suspect. And you said both of those, unfortunately, were failures due to the coverage or whatever.
Exactly, and they were, and I think you don't see more logged on there because most of the time people get lost at dusk, or, they decide to
Yeah.
go into Horace Hill right before it gets dark, and then we were limited because we didn't have lighting for it. And this will allow us to go a little bit further. But with a little bit of thermal imager, the newer drone has a little bit better thermal imaging camera, so maybe that will give us the distance or the power that we need to see through a little bit more of the tree growth.
Now, do you have to operate this in line of sight, or can?
Yes, sir, it does.
Can
It
you
has to
watch
be in
where it's
line of
going on
sight.
its own
Yep.
cameras?
Yep.
You have to be in sight, so
You
it's
have
it
to be
really,
in sight.
even though it says 4.9-mile range, you
Yeah,
really can't
unless you
fly
were
it
in
out
the
that far.
desert, you really wouldn't have sight
You
on it.
wouldn't know where you were or
No.
whatever. Okay.
But that's a great reassurance to know that if it did get away from you, you know that it's still, you're still in communication. And they do have return to home features on them, which is really great. You can pre-program an altitude for it to return, so you could get above all your trees and your hills around here. And if it did, I can't think of a reason, but if it did get away from you, you'd be able to access that return to home, and it would go up to the elevation and then come back to you. So that's great that it has that range.
Oh, yeah, I'm
So
sure.
The technology is definitely there.
So do you see more use for this for supporting things like the DPW doing town photography? Or
I think
where do you see its main use at this point?
I think being used with the other department is exactly what we wanted. We didn't want to just be the only users of it. To make it available to the other towns, I think is great. But our plans are to use it more. We did some training with it with our SRT team, and it was a great tool to throw up in the air and throw out, a half mile ahead of them to see what that area looked like before they walked into it. And that was great to have that firsthand knowledge to check that area before our officers got into it. So it was really great for that.
And SRT
Is our tactical team.
okay, who would be addressing any issues? Yeah.
Right.
So you were able to train with them as well. Now, do you normally, is there a requirement to have a visual observer when you're operating it? Or?
Yes, sir. So if we were in a real tough area, I would ask like Officer Petroselli or even Deputy Chief Tarleton to come with me. I have a pair of binoculars that I keep with the drone so that he could have eyes on it at all times. Because as it gets out a few hundred feet, it gets smaller and smaller, and they're about the size of the sheet of paper. So as it gets out above the horizon, it gets harder and harder to see. I have the camera, and it's showing me in the screen, and I have all kinds of information as far as how far it is, how high it is, and direction to travel. But it's always better to have eyes on it with
Somebody
binoculars.
watching it too,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Guess there was one other question. Oh, that was it, yep. All right, are there any other questions from the council? Or comments?
Nothing in particular for the police department, but generally, are there any restrictions about drones going over private residences? There probably
There-
isn't, but
No,
I
there
was
really
curious.
isn't. They're allowed to go over.
Right.
But that being said, if you're a private citizen in town and you're flying over somebody's property,
Right.
flying over it is one thing. Standing there and taking pictures of somebody sunbathing or out in their
Right.
backyard, that might be the issue.
Yeah, because I've heard some complaints.
Yeah.
And I was just curious as to,
Well, and that was some of our concern.
Absolutely.
Originally, is
Right.
people might think of it as a little bit over invasion by the
yeah.
police force in being able to fly over and stare into people's backyards or,
Right.
or whatever. And so I guess I'm still not sure I understand what kind of safeguards we have in place to make sure that we are behaving ethically and morally at all times with respect to
I was
this
reading your
drone.
thoughts, see?
Uh-huh.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, is it moving forward with now 2 drones, are we getting ahead of ourselves, or are we getting to a point where we need to start considering whether or not the flyer and a visual observer is required just to kind of check and balance each other for what's going on? So
Well,
somebody's-
and that's not what it was designed for by the FAA, of course. It was designed to keep eyes on the drone to make sure you're safe and you're not gonna run into something. Because, you know, electronics fails, if one of the collision avoidance issues failed, or you misjudge something in the camera, that's what your second set of eyes is for with the binoculars. As far as looking into neighborhoods, we
I mean, right
certainly-
now, if
we-
you
we
go
don't-
into somebody's house, you need a warrant to be able to search their place. But if you start flying over and staring in their backyard or in through their windows or something like that with a drone, which people might suspect could happen.
Right, and
Then-
if that was the case, Mr. Chair, we'd be getting a warrant for that.
To do
I mean,
that kind of
We've always followed policies and procedures by the state, and it certainly wouldn't change at this point. We'd always get a warrant for a search like that. With the SRT team, you're not peering into somebody's backyard like that. You're looking just to see if they're walking into some type of an ambush
Or something.
or a horrible situation that is gonna save lives.
Right. And I'm not trying to be attacking, I'm trying to bring it out in public so people know that you guys are being very aware of what your rules and procedures and
Absolutely.
policies are. I also notice on this list that every time you've taken it out, it's been authorized by either the chief or the deputy chief. You can't just grab it and go fly it for fun.
Right.
You have to actually get approval from the staff to be
Exactly.
able to go out and fly it and use it for specific given purposes and stuff.
So I have the green light to use it to train, and in fact, the staff encourages it. But each time I use it, they're aware of it. And my training is usually in a wide open spot like the MYA field or Vets Park. That's usually where I go because, you know, before football season, it wasn't being used. So I'd throw it up over there, and that gave me a relatively clear area of obstructions, and I could play with its settings and
Yeah.
get a feel for it there and not worry about anything. So
Okay.
that's how we handle training.
And you would still be the operator of this new one as well?
Yes, sir.
And like you said at the beginning, you're planning to bring on some other people
Yes, sir.
to be able to utilize them.
In technology, the electronics change so much
Yeah.
in this industry as it does, for instance, like home stereo. You spend all the money, you buy the best thing you possibly can afford, and then by the time you get it unpackaged and ready to go, it's outdated again. And that's this market right now. It's just such a fast changing, market.
Okay. Any other questions? Lon?
Yeah, I continue to try to learn and teach myself things, and I was very, very happy that this
About this.
document accompanied your other very good explanation about why the new drone. And Nancy and Tom and you have just discussed all of my recent learning. And I want to express my confidence in the police department in terms of their policies
Thank you.
and keeping track of things, and I'm much more comfortable with it than I was originally. Thank you very, very much.
Okay.
So,
Andy?
just so everybody knows, the document that Counselor Woods is referring to is a log every time this thing has been used, the first drone has been used, what it was used for, who was the pilot, who was the observer, the location, who authorized it, the department that it was being used for, and a description of the mission. And I agree, I think this is a very valuable.
comfortable.
As soon as I looked at this, I said, these are all legitimate, good uses. This is a really good tool for the police department. So I agree with that. It's a good observation.
Thank you.
Anybody else? So we're looking for a motion to accept the where is it?
I move that we accept the donation of the funds for the purchase of the drone from Crime Line.
For
And if you
$7,000,
if you need further
for the $7,273.99 from Crime Line for RSA 31:95-B and our Charter Article 8-15.
Second.
Motion made by Lon Woods and seconded by Andy Hunter.
Friendly amendment, sorry.
Friendly amendment, yeah.
Accept and expend.
Accept and expend that funds, okay. That sound good? And do you need authorization to sign anything, or? No, not on that because you're expending it. Okay. If there's no other comments, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? It passes 6-0-0. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Crime
Thank you.
Line.
Thank you very much. I'd really like to say thank you to the Crime Line members behind us.
Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, our golf tournament was very successful. We could even add accessories to this drone if they need it, you know.
Ah.
It's,
I'm sure they'd love it, but.
we're happy to support the police, and you know, we're here to do good for the rest of the community.
Okay.
We know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We have three of the annual grants for the police department coming up. I don't know if we want to take them up all at once or individually, or how would you like to present them?
I have Captain Marquis here to present the grants. They've changed the names over the years, but basically they are the same that we've been over the last, I want to say, since Paul Trepany was, 10 years. But they just changed the name. Instead of click it or ticket, it's informed driving or things of that sort. So Eric Marquis is here, Captain Marquis is here to go over these with you. I think we'll take them, it'd be easier for him if you take them up one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have one set of documentation, so I didn't know whether you, anyway, that's fine.
Yep.
So the first one is the Merrimack DUI Patrols Grant?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
For, accept a grant from the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for driving under the influence patrols in the amount of $3,357.
Yes, so we're asking for the acceptance of that dollar amount, which would fund 12 4-hour patrols between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. The patrols would focus on detecting DWIs. It would predominantly be held on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, also some holidays as well. This past year, we conducted 10 patrols, which resulted in 5 arrests. Officers stopped 118 vehicles during the patrols and issued 113 warnings for various offenses, as well as 5 summonses. So this is basically unchanged for the last,
And that was just during this DUI patrolling?
this past year.
The 10 different
Yep, just
4-hour patrols?
Correct, yep.
The reason being is that these officers on these patrols are just looking for that. They're not patrolling they're not doing
They're not
safety
doing
checks or
circuits or
anything else.
sectors or
They are
whatever.
on paid overtime just for the DWI, driving under the influence patrol, and that's what they're there for.
That's the focus. yeah.
That's the focus of these officers when they're on duty for those 4 hours.
And the advantage is they're focusing, they don't have patrol duties basically at that, we have patrolmen that are tied up. It's a very busy town, obviously. Things are getting busier, so patrolmen are pulled in a lot of different directions. So they don't have a lot of time for enforcement of traffic. So this basically gives us the opportunity to put people on the road that are dedicated to just traffic enforcement. And specifically, depending on the grant, in this case, OUIL, so.
Okay, can you give me those numbers again? You said 115?
Let's see, we stopped 118 vehicles, issued 113 warnings, and 5 summonses, along with 5 arrests for those 10 details.
And those are all on town streets, not on DWI, not on F.E. Everett Turnpike or something like that?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That sounds like a lot for 10 4-hour periods, but not too bad. Nancy?
Thank you. I just have a question. if I may be misunderstanding, so during those patrols, they're focused primarily on DUIs so there was 118 cars stopped for suspicion of that, or it says for 115 offenses, so are all those DUI-related offenses, or?
No. No.
Okay.
I mean, the goal is to find DUIs, but leading up to that, you're looking for all types of different motor vehicle offenses, including headlights out, speeding, stop signs, red light violations, things like that, in an effort to possibly get to locating drunk drivers. So.
Thank you.
So you're not ignoring other offenses, you're just focusing more on the DUI type
Correct.
situation?
That's exactly your overall goal. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, Lon?
Yeah, I would say that it demonstrates perhaps the necessity and need for that kind of patrol in terms of just that few hours and the 5 arrests and
40 hours and 5
summonses.
arrests, yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Were those fire arrests for DUI?
I don't think they were all for DUI.
Okay.
I believe it was 3 that were for DUI.
Okay.
And 2 for other, I think it was operating.
Okay,
after
so
suspension.
basically, 113 got warnings. They
Mhm.
might have been going a little too fast, or they went through a yellow light before a red,
Yeah,
or something
and
like that.
Awareness is a big part of it, too.
Right.
Mhm.
But of those 113 warnings, only 5 were arrested, probably 3 for DUI.
Yes.
5 above and beyond that 113 warnings. So 118
Oh,
stops.
of course, that's right, okay. That's right, too, that's right, gotcha.
So, I mean, I think that's good. We're not really anxious to go out and arrest people. We're anxious to get people aware of what's the proper
Mhm.
attitude and behavior on the road.
Absolutely.
And that definitely does get that information out.
Yeah.
Anytime those lights go off, people get nervous. So I think that's probably good. $3,000 is slightly more than last year. Is that what you're?
I believe it's the same. It's the same exactly.
But you're going to be able to do 12 patrols this year, and you only did 10 last
Yeah,
year?
there were 2 that we weren't able to fill.
Oh,
Sometimes you just can't get guys that want to do the details, not all the time anyway.
okay,
there were
so
2 that
there's
we weren't able to
another
fill.
good question is, how difficult is it to get, is it one person
It's
on a
one-
patrol
Yeah, 1 person in a cruiser,
for 4 hours
yes. Mhm.
overtime?
Yep.
On a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night? From
Correct.
what were the hours you said?
It's generally between 9 PM and 3 in the morning, somewhere in there, 4-hour
Okay.
details.
Yeah, okay, 4 hours. 4 hours spread evenly or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. So talk to me about the difficulty of getting people to be able to work these kinds of shifts. Is 4 hours extra time
Yep.
is a fair amount of work on
Yeah.
a day.
Right, but I think you're dealing with generally patrolmen who don't have a lot of weekends off. So when they do come up, some are willing to take these details on their days off, some aren't. So I think that's the biggest difficulty, as opposed to some of these other grants, like the distracted driving, it's basically during the day. So guys are a lot more willing to take those are easier to fill. So I think that's kind of the reason, just the timing of it, so.
Okay. And as far as management of the grants and finance or paperwork and stuff like that, we're comfortable with the amount of work that goes into it, or?
We got it down to a science now.
Okay.
It's been this long that we do have a good system in place
Yep.
between police and payroll, and making sure that when they do work these details, the timesheets come over and identify that these people are working them. And so our payroll system, it's a lot easier just to pull people off of it and get them in the reporting mechanisms that we had to do. So we do have a good understanding of what is needed and things of that sort.
And these fully fund those hours, or do we have to match percentages?
We do, there is a match, however, the match is usually done by the gas or the mileage on the vehicles or things of that sort on it. It's not really a dollar match, so to speak, even though we're paying for the gasoline put into the car and the mileage on the car. But they gave us a wide berth of what is considered a match when we do these. Like some of Eric's time during the day, when he's filling out, they got paperwork to fill out. That is we can count that towards the match, in-kind match.
That's basically a gas and administrative cost, that generally covers the 25%, so it's pretty easy.
Well, but that does imply a level of administrative cost that you could be doing something else if you weren't doing that,
Correct.
theoretically, filling out other reports, I guess.
Right.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we could look for a motion to accept and expend, or how do we need to word that? Was there a question? Barbara, go ahead. You could do it before or after the motion.
So you were talking about that there were 2 rotations that you couldn't fill last time or
Yes.
last year. Are there any strings attached to that? I know you have to submit reporting on, the activities and the results of the activities.
Yep.
But it doesn't harm us in any way under Section 11, which is about the defaults.
No, I don't think you're penalized in any way.
Okay.
I mean, they would look at that, I think, that the following year to see if you didn't fill details, maybe they give you less details, that's a possibility, a less dollar amount.
Okay.
But we got the same this year as we did last year.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And to answer your question, Mr. Chair, yes, it is to accept and expend.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion. Nancy?
I'd like to make a motion to accept and expend a grant in the amount of $3,357 available through the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for the Merrimack Police Department for driving under the influence patrols pursuant to RSA 3195B and Charter Article 8-15.
Second.
Motion made by Nancy Murphy and seconded by Barbara Healy. If there are no other comments, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 6-0. The next one is the acceptance of a grant from the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for Merrimack Distracted Driving Patrols in the amount of $2,494.
So, yes, we're asking for the acceptance of that $24.94. This grant would fund 9 4-hour patrols between the hours of 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The grant would focus on patrols to address distracted and negligent driving, which may be caused from using a handheld electronic device, other distractions in the car, failing to clear snow from the vehicle, etc. This past year, we conducted 9 patrols. Officers stopped 105 vehicles during the patrols and issued 95 warnings for various offenses, as well as 5 summonses.
Holy smokes. 5 summonses, huh? From distracted driving?
Mm-hmm.
For what kinds of things, do you know? Or can you?
I don't know specifically.
not-
The phone seems to be the biggest one these days, for sure.
But does that give you a summons or a warning?
Usually that's a summons.
Oh, really?
Yep, but a lot of these, like a lot of the warnings, you're still doing motor vehicle enforcement. They maybe have, warnings for speed and stoplights, things like that. It's actually hard to locate a lot of these violations these days. You gotta do a lot of looking, so. I know it doesn't seem like it. Sometimes you're sitting in traffic and you see people with the phone.
Oh, I see them with their phone all the time.
But when
I-
they see
you
a
know,
cruiser, it's not necessarily that easy.
Yeah. When they're staring down into their lap, that they're doing something that they should not be doing.
Right.
Since they ought to be paying attention to the road. This same features as far as management, maintenance, and overtime work for people.
Yes.
And these are during the day hours?
Yes.
7 to 11, 3
Yep.
to 7.
So they were all filled, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we're looking for a motion to accept and expend $2,494.
Move to accept and expend a grant in the amount of $2,494 made available through the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for the Merrimack Police Department for distracted driving patrols pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15.
Second.
Motion by Andy and seconded by Nancy Murphy, because Barbara pointed to her. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 6-0 as well. And finally, in this category is the acceptance of a grant from the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for high-visibility mobilization patrols in the amount of $3,400. Captain?
So this grant is for the combined amount, as you said, $3,400, which would fund 12 4-hour patrols consisting of join the click, drive sober or get pulled over, and you drive, you text, you pay mobilizations. These high-visibility mobilizations are statewide coordinated events that are conducted on specific dates and times to enforce specific issues. This past year, we conducted 9 patrols, which resulted in 4 arrests. Officers stopped 109 vehicles during the patrols and issued 104 warnings for various offenses, as well as 13 summonses.
So 4 arrests and 13 summonses. What's the difference between an arrest is actually taking them off to the police station, and a
Yep.
summons just means that they need to come make an appearance in court?
They could either pay a fine or make an appearance in court.
Okay. And the difference between this and these others is that they're in conjunction with statewide?
Correct. Yep, other
efforts.
agencies that were awarded the same grants, there's a specific time period for each one. So we'll have, say, 4 details within the 7 or 10-day period. And other agencies within the state would take care of their details within the same time frame. So it's basically a statewide, initiative. So everything's done at the same time for the most part.
So, I mean, but it duplicates the DUI and the distracted driving.
Correct.
But it's specifically gonna happen during times when the state says, let's all do this now.
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Otherwise, there's nothing really different about it.
No, you're right.
Okay.
No.
It's just more money and another.
It's the timing of it and kind of a collective effort, I guess you could say.
Okay. And now that I got to the bottom of this list, I finally see the 25% in-kind match, so thank you for helping me understand that portion. Any other questions or comments? So I need a motion to accept and expend $3,400.
Yeah, I move that the council accept the expenditure of a grant in the amount of $3,400, made available through the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety for the Merrimack Police Department for high-visibility mobilization patrols pursuant to RSA 31:95-b and Charter Article 8-15.
Motion by Lon Woods and seconded by Barbara Healy to accept this grant for $3,400 and expend as necessary. Any other comments? Thank you for bringing this forth. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? That passes 6-0. Captain, thank you for your time and answers to our questions.
Thanks for having me tonight. Appreciate
We
it.
appreciate it. Thanks.
And it's, I guess, implied that the town manager can sign any and all necessary documents on all these 3 grants, but I'd like to get that into the record, that it was implied when you made the motions.
In the future, we're gonna.
You're gonna have to state it again, but it isn't her and/or.
When you said accept and expend, I assumed that implication, so.
Yes.
No, he said that he could sign whatever.
Any documents necessary.
So I think we're good. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Captain.
Which brings us all the way down to item 6 in our agenda. The acceptance and donation of a donation for the Parks and Rec Department, submitted by Parks and Rec Director Matthew Kasparius. The Town Council to consider the acceptance and expenditure of a donation in the amount of $400 from Consolidated Communications to the Parks and Rec Department to be used towards the Town of Merrimack's Halloween Party 275th birthday anniversary event to sponsor the entertainment stage / evening concert and to cover the cost of the band pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 815.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
Mr.
guess you're
Chair.
talking to this one.
I'm talking about this one, yes. First of all, as you know, we've had several months for a 275th celebration of the town of Merrimack, culminating in this event that's going to be taking place on October 30th at Wasserman Park. October 30th, Parks and Rec in the morning was having their annual Halloween trick-or-treat event with some of the children from the town. In the afternoon, we're going to switch gears and end up with a final 275th celebration of, there's going to be a concert and Consolidated Communication. It will be donating the $400, which would pay for having that band for that concert. And then roughly around 5:30, because it's October and it's starting to get dark early, we'll have fireworks at Wasserman Park as well. So that will be the culmination of the 275th anniversary birthday party for the town.
Cool. Do you know where at Wasserman Park they plan to do the fireworks, or?
They went over with the fire inspector and the gentleman from Atlas who will be shooting them off, and I believe they will be shooting them off just to the left as you go down past Parks and Rec office on that old ball field before the tennis courts. I believe that's where they're going to set up for the fireworks.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe they're going to shoot them off up higher there or potentially on the football practice field. But it will be up on that upper level, so it's not by the water. It will be definitely up by the parking lot, so people won't have to trek down the hill. And we plan on several people attending, and I don't think parking will be an issue because if it is, we'll deal with it at the time. But we have those two very large lots up top, parking lots, and we do have the lot down by the water. And if it comes to this, we can even park more cars down the road towards the water if need be. So we feel that we have, it was the best spot to do it because of the parking. We talked about Watson Park, but then it's 20 cars. What do you do with if 100 people show, what do you do with the other 90 cars? We talked about having it in the fields at the school, but it's fall sports season, there's soccer, there's football, there's a bunch of events, and timing wouldn't work out. So as a committee, we decided it'd be best to do it at Wasserman Park, and we're really giving this a try for future events if we want to have other celebrations over there with fireworks, because we can get a lot more bang for the buck. No pun intended.
Every pun intended. Wait a minute.
Yeah, a lot more bang for the buck because we don't have to shoot them up over the high school. It's only shooting them up 100 feet instead of 250 feet. So the wicks are less. What they call cans, which are what they pack the fireworks in, are smaller. So that's why we can have it there.
We just have to not let it float into the trees.
Yes. Hopefully.
So it still has to go up pretty high.
Yes.
Okay. And that's October 30th,
That
which is a
October 3rd,
Saturday.
Which is the Saturday, yes.
And you're saying there's going to be a kid celebrations earlier that day, or?
Yes, they're gonna, I believe Matt is planning his annual Halloween event for the 30th at Wasserman Park.
Okay, cool. Any other, and the $400 donations to pay for the band from
Yes.
5 to 6:30?
Correct.
And 6:30 will be the fireworks then, after?
Yeah.
after-
Dusk.
Whenever?
Dusk. It all depends. We will still be in daylight savings time, I believe, and I don't think we switch over until the first week in November. Fall back, something like that. But
Probably.
it's still gonna get dark early.
Yeah.
It's dark at 6:30 now, and we still got a month to go. So,
Yeah, but it's not getting darker as fast as it was last week.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Any other comments or questions from the council? So we need a motion to accept and expend a donation of $400.
So moved.
Moved by Nancy, seconded by Andy.
And you don't need to document anything, so.
No.
Do you accept and
Accept and
expend? Do
expend.
you need to,
No, I don't need to sign
you
anything.
don't need authorization to
I
sign
don't
anything?
need, no, there's no grant to sign there.
Oh, okay.
Nothing is.
That was the caveat last time. Okay.
That's it.
So if there's no other comments, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify yes?
Just a quick comment. Thank you to Consolidated Communications for your donation to that event, and welcome to Merrimack.
And by all means, folks, October 30th, this is our last big bang for the 275th. We've been celebrating all year, just sort of. At the end of the year, we have to take off our license plates on the front of our cars, but hopefully you saved the one that belonged there. I'm not sure I did, but anyway.
And there's still
So-
license plates, cookbooks, T-shirts. A lot of stuff is still available, so if you're interested in any 275th garb, call the town manager's office and we'll be able to hook you up.
They make great gifts, Christmas gifts.
And there'll be collector's items, right?
Correct.
I mean, how many people can say they were here for the 250th, the 275th, the 300th?
That's not Russia.
I probably won't be here, but anyway. Okay, so we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? 600. That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Which brings us to minutes from our last meeting on October 14th. I was not here. Barbara was not here.
I'd like to move the minutes of the town council meeting for September 23rd as written.
Second.
I have a comment, but I don't need any changes. The discussion that we had, page 4, related to the firefighter positions, it was much more extensive than what was listed that's been being presented. But I think it reflects the body of the information. There was a lot more discussed than what's reflected there. But I don't think adding it, the bottom line decision was the same, so. If people wanted to see more extensive what the actual discussion was, they could go to the video. So I'm not recommending changes. Just a comment.
Any other corrections or changes? I want to ask a clarifying question since I wasn't there. On page 5, in the middle of the motion, line 10, it says, furthermore, to have staffing of a total of 44, which equates to 11 members per staff as budget minimum as budget allows. I thought probably that meant per shift. And I'm wondering if all of those words together make sense. Total 44, so 11 members per shift.
The end of it was something that you requested, Paul.
Right, and it's minimum staffing it was, what we were talking about was minimum staffing per shift.
Correct.
As budget allows.
So instead of staff, it should say shift.
Right, but it should,
Nice.
it's in the wrong spot. It's 11 members.
Per shift.
Minimum, 11 members, minimum staffing per shift.
Not per staff.
Not per staff, it's 11 members, minimum staffing per shift,
As budget allows.
as budget allows.
Okay. Thank you. Zach, everybody got that? If there's no other changes, we'll vote on the minutes as corrected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed or abstaining? I'm abstaining and Barbara's abstaining, so that passes 402. Okay. That brings us to comments from the press. They're not here. Comments from the public? You can either sit here or stand at the mic, whichever you prefer.
O'Neill, and I live at 60 Island. Okay. My
Thank
name
you.
is Margaret O'Neill, and I live at 60 Island Drive in Merrimack. I've lived there since November 4th of 1979, almost 42 years. We have had a noise problem that developed during COVID and has gotten worse and worse and worse. There is a contractor, CSSI, who has an operation on the Patterson and New England Pole property across the water, across the railroad tracks from our island. And they start at 8 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes they run until after 5 p.m. at night. They run Saturdays. I think we've gotten them to stop on Sundays. They run on holidays. So those of us who are on the island, who have waterfront or water access property, are putting up with them having road graders over there to move their dirt and loam, as they call it, with 4-foot rocks in it around constantly, all day, 6 days a week. We had it on Columbus Day. When everybody was on vacation, we got to listen to them all day long. And they were moving things, and then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they decided that they would start separating the rocks from the loom. So they did that until after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It has degraded our property values. They've degraded our lives because we cannot enjoy the waterfront. We cannot enjoy the yards. Saturday morning we had a island-wide picnic or breakfast, which is part of our Island Drive Association. That beach where we had it is on the west side of the island, facing the condominiums. All we could hear was cutting and grinding and moving. And everybody says, what is this construction? Why is it going on 365 days a year? I've talked to the town manager. I've talked to community development. They claim they didn't know who CSSI was. That was community development. They didn't respond to our calls when we first called the day after Labor Day because they work Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of Labor Day weekend. This is ridiculous. This is not community development. This is community destruction. A lot of the bedrooms point towards the Patterson Street or Patterson construction property and New England Pole property. It's 46 acres. And there are several businesses that are over there on that property. But everybody gets awakened early in the morning. Sunday mornings, the last couple of weekends we haven't had Sunday mornings since we made the complaint. Probably the last 3 Sundays we haven't. Every other day we have to be up, and I spoke with Mr. McCauley trying to get them to wait until 9 a.m. on Saturday. Give us a break. They don't really, I don't know if they sublet. Nobody's been able to tell me if they've been subletting the property, what they've been doing over there. But they're not listed in the town as having a presence at that property. They have a presence down at Henry Clay, down in South Merrimack. They don't have a presence there that is on the books or anything. So my neighbors and I are pretty upset by this. I know there's no noise ordinance, and nobody can seem to figure out how to do a noise ordinance, but I'm going to start working on that. But you've got people, I pay $12,000 a year for taxes for waterfront. And what do I get out of it? I get CSSI saying, I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm not starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. My business starts at 7 a.m. According to his website, the business runs from 8 a.m. on Monday morning until 3:30 on Friday afternoon. But that's not what they do at that property. So I want everybody to be aware of this. Unfortunately, with the late notice that there was a council meeting, I couldn't get a lot of neighbors here. One of my other neighbors pays slightly more than I do, over $12,000. We have people who pay between $4,000 and under $13,000 a year for 46 properties out there.
Is this a construction site? What is it, Paul?
No.
It's the old footer pole, basically, there are individuals that are probably subletting on footer pole site. And what happened is that they are allowed through grandfathering to have these kind of operations on that site, because some of the site plan regulations, they predate some of the site plan regulations at the time. And unless the companies cease and desist operations for a year, there's really nothing that we can do at the present time with we can try to work with the vendor, which I did do, and I got him to stop working on Sundays, per Mrs. O'Neill request. I got him to start at 8 o'clock and not 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings.
So this is not a construction site?
No,
It's a
it's
job
sifting,
site.
it's sifting loam, and it is very loud. I was golfing on a Tuesday night, and they had one of the machines operating, and I could hear it over in Litchfield. It's just a very loud trommel, basically, that sifts the loam as they put it in, and it's taking the rocks out, and they're hearing the banging of the rocks, and if they're moving equipment around, they'll hear the beeps from loaders and
But
and
are
other
they
things.
preparing the site, or are they
No,
bringing?
they're just
They're bringing stuff in to do it?
They're bringing stuff in, and then they're sifting and then bringing stuff out again.
Okay, so it's a constant.
It's a
So it's not a
constant.
time-limited kind of?
No.
Okay.
It'll quiet down probably starting in November through March, April, because of New England. And you really can't sift dirt when it's frozen or wet. So it should probably end mid to end November, it should start quieting down again with the operations, but it could start back up in April, May, to do what they have to do.
And the mound is 30 feet tall and about an acre wide. It's not a little mound. They have huge excavation equipment to move all this stuff around. And it's just totally obnoxious.
Well, just to let you know, I live near the outlets.
Yeah.
And we've had obnoxious
Right.
jackhammering for like 5 months. So I do understand your frustration, and that's why I'm trying to understand, is it a temporary, is it a permanent? That's why I'm asking the
It's
questions.
been permanent since at least the beginning of the,
But in terms of the future
Yeah.
is my question.
oh, no, it goes away. Well, we don't use our properties outside that much from November to March.
But it's not time limited, is my point.
Nope.
No.
Right, he's continuing his
Right.
operation.
Can continue. And there
Anyway.
are other landscaping companies as well down there. It's not just the one company that is mentioned. There are several companies down there.
This is really public comment time, but go ahead.
Yeah, who owns the property?
Footer pole,
New England Pole,
New England pole.
incorporated in 1955. And it's it's Patterson, Wright, Pamposi, Nash, the people who bought Island Drive, the island, and developed it. It's the same people. And so it's their company, and Patterson Construction is still there. And they're like the landlord.
Yes, it's, if you drive into it's private property, which is another thing.
Yeah, see, that's the difficulty.
That, unless I am welcomed on, or community development is welcomed on the property by the owner, technically, we're not allowed to go on because it's private property. The only reason why I know what's going on down there is because when I was doing Scalar Park, how can we get equipment in or not in? We were able to drive down there to look at, do we have an access to get some of this heavier equipment in past the railroad trestles, and that's how I know what's down there. It's only because I was looking
Happen
at
to be there.
Yep.
Scalar.
And I wonder about noise abatement. You know, you see all the noise abatement along Effie Everett Turnpike for those condominiums. I don't know why we can't have some kind of noise abatement there, because it is truly obnoxious, and it gets louder and louder, and obviously, he doesn't care that we're over across the water from him. But it carries, like I said, all the way to the other side of the island. And you heard it in Litchfield, which I expected, that you would hear it in Litchfield. So we're annoying everybody to let him build roads or build sewers. And frankly, I don't think the town should be having CSSI build anything else if they can't work with us and not work on Saturdays or holidays.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, hello. My name is, I am Wayne Johnson. I live on Island Drive, 79. And I'm here to back up everything Margaret has said about the amount of noise we live with. It's definitely not pleasant. I have some personal remorse from it. About a year ago, there was somebody, I was out walking around on the island just socializing, as everybody seems to do there, walking dogs or whatever, and somebody drove up and said, hey, we're looking at this property over here. What do you think? Is it a nice place? Is it quiet? And at the time I said, well, they're asking me when the train goes through. They were worried about the train making too much noise. I said, yeah, you'll hear it once every couple of days. And I warned them about the potential for floods, because I've been there since '76. We've seen a couple of them. And a couple of months later, I was walking down, and this family is moving into that property. After I told them how quiet it was, and how quiet and pleasant. And then this spring, it started up with that racket. They do the sifting of dirt, but they also have firewood. They ramp it up into big giant piles, and then they dig into those piles and take them away, and they're just always making noise. But with this family that moved in, and I recommended how quiet it was, I feel so guilty. I feel really bad. I wonder what they think of me. They say, oh, that's okay, but it's noisy there, and I recommend any day of the week, just come on Island Drive or walk down, or go down Wright Avenue, listen to that noise. It's very unpleasant. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about it, but I'm just presenting that as the way things are. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And this is comments from the public time, so it's not really open for debate. If it becomes a further topic for us to discuss, either in the way of noise ordinance or something like that, we can take that up. But appreciate your input.
Can I say one other thing?
Yeah, you need to come up to the mic.
Okay. I was researching excavation laws, and apparently there's an excavation law here in Merrimack and also with the state that says they have to have a permit to excavate, and they are excavating. They might tell you they're sorting loam, but any intent to excavate is supposed to have a permit on file. And according to the state, it says that where excavation would violate the operational standards, for excavation within 50 feet of the boundary of a disapproving abutter or within 10 feet of the boundary of an approving abutter, unless approved or unless approval is requested by the abutter. But it's not, there are certain laws, I don't think they've complied with this. Of course, we can't find anything, right, about them, except there was a noise complaint in 2009. I made a noise complaint on September 10th because our calls were ignored on September 7th and on September 8th and on September 9th. And then I was told they didn't know who CSSI was, so I had to file a formal complaint. But I guarantee you that my neighbors are not happy. And we would dearly want to get this addressed. And it says, excavation will not create a nuisance or create health or safety hazards. So I think that we need to do that when the issuance of the permit would be unduly hazardous or injurious to the public welfare. We're affected. Our public welfare is affected by this. So I have these 2 copies if anybody would like them, so that you can see what I found with the state and with the town itself, Merrimack Excavation Law. So if we don't think we can do anything, and this applies to when an owner anticipates the removal of earth materials which will be sold or moved from his property to another location. And that's what they're doing. They're not just leaving the dirt there.
I think, I don't want to get too far afield, but I think excavation is actual removal of dirt that's there and leaving a hole behind, as opposed to having a pile of dirt there and moving it around. But I'm not going to get into those technical details.
Right. But it needs to be investigated.
Okay? We'll be happy to take those.
Okay. There's 2 copies.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other public comments from the council? Nancy?
Thank you. I actually have 2. One I had mentioned a while back. Jennifer DeFelice is coordinating an effort to place wreaths at our last rest cemetery on December 18th as part of the Wreaths Across America project. Right now, there's a goal of 250 sponsored wreaths by October 17th. So we're looking for donations for, each wreath is $15. And on all the social media, Jennifer DeFelice has posted links. It's Wreaths Across America and Last Rest Cemetery. So if anybody is willing to contribute and make a donation to provide a wreath or any amount would be wonderful. And those are going to be put on the veterans' graves on December 18th. The second announcement would be a great opportunity for people in the community to contribute to a diaper drive that's going to be held this Saturday, the 16th, from 9 to 2 at the Wheeler Memorial Chapel on Daniel Webster Highway. That's diaper insecurity affects 1 in 3 American families, and last year our town contributed around 7,000 diapers and diaper wipes to the Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter, and they have a central distribution center, and I think they distribute between 32 and 40,000 diapers per year. So our 7,000 diapers will go a long way, but the need remains constant. And for some people, it impacts their ability to work because mothers have to supply diapers for daycare. And so anybody that is willing to stop by, either make a donation or a donation, either cash donation or a check or a diaper supply, that would be awesome. Again, it's Saturday from 9 to 2. So thank you. One more thing I should mention, Cindy Parente is the coordinator of that, so she's also available if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Lon Wood, seconded by Barbara Healy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? It passes 6-0-0. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Good night, Merrimack.